Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us with Maple Grove City Administrator Heidi Nelson. Welcome again, Heidi.
Thank you.
We've got quite a bit to talk about. It was an hour-and-a-half meeting on April 17th, so we'll cover some of the items in that meeting and the longest item in that meeting, which you might be familiar with. And then we'll also talk about a number of things happening around the city. Let's start with the council meeting on the 17th. And first in consent, there was just one item that was pulled that has to do with signs at a new area in town. Give us the update on the Village's sign.
Yeah, so this is the Village at Arbor Lakes, and so this is kind of the fourth corner of the Arbor Lakes project, sort of that northeast corner of Hemlock and Elm Creek Boulevard. This is Kelly Dorn's project, and so if you've been by that area, you see a lot of construction going on.
Right.
The residential on the north side, and then on the south side, the two little commercial buildings are going in. A number of other parts of that project, a couple of hotels and office buildings, some restaurant pads, that kind of thing. This was for the sign package, and so you'll see kind of a similar treatment to that corner, kind of framing up that corner there, similar to what's at the other corners, and completing that package there, and then kind of some of their tenant signage as well. So nice architectural elements to the signage, and I think it kind of completes the area.
Do we have the word on when the first business in that area will open? My guess is it's the spring or summer. They've been working very quickly.
I would think over the summer. I don't think we've heard that as of yet. We don't have any of that information, but yeah, I would think that as we move into the summer months here, we'd likely see something. All
right, we'll search for that and bring you up to date at the next time we're together. Let's talk about some of the special business. There are a few public hearings related to development areas. We've talked about these a little bit, but give us an update on the Woods and also Water's Edge.
So these are two residential housing projects. The Woods at Rush Creek is a single-family project just kind of north of Lord of Life Church out there on 101. Single-family homes. I think there's about 67 units in this project. So this is the public hearing to construct the public improvements. So sewer, water, infrastructure, roads, that kind of thing. The Water's Edge project is at Central Park, is kind of north and east of Central Park there. Completing an area that similar product. These are townhome type product. So this would be extending sewer and water in those public improvements. There are private streets in that one. But yeah, both of these projects, so likely to see some home construction over the summer months.
All right, we'll be watching for that. Now to community development, and this was the item that took about an hour and 10 minutes within the meeting. We promise we won't talk about it for an hour and 10 minutes, but it is important, and obviously it got people in the city of Maple Grove talking. So this is the Portillo's concept amendment. Let's talk a little bit about this now. It came to the council meeting a meeting ago.
Yes.
Give us a little background. What happened there? What was the process that was taken that caused it to come back in the way it did?
Sure. So at the April 3rd meeting, this project came forward. It's Portillo's. It's a Chicago-based restaurant. Many people around the area know it quite well. They are proposing to go kind of in the parking lot at the Shops at Arbor Lakes. It's directly across the street from Great River Energy. So kind of right at that corner where the signalized intersection is. The retail to the north, Talbot's is at one end. There's kind of the back end of the other retail in the middle, and then Joseph A. Banks is on the other end, so kind of right in that parking lot. We brought it forward on the 3rd of April. It had come through the Planning Commission without a recommendation. There was 2-2 vote on either side of it. And I think the primary concern was over traffic and circulation on the site. You know, clearly, if you build a building in a parking lot, you lose some parking, and so how does that get remedied? And Portillo's is an operation that has a significant drive-through as part of their standard restaurant, and so there was concern about how that was going to work in the midst of this. So when it came forward on the April 3rd meeting, it ended up in passing, directing the city attorney to draft a resolution of denial for the project, and that was on a 3-2 vote. So in between those 2 weeks, the Portillo's organization, as well as the shops, provided some additional information to the council. I think their goal was to address, there was some concerns raised about handicap parking, about pedestrian connections. How does that drive-through work, and how are you going to make sure it doesn't become kind of an area that's crippled for the mall? And so Portillo's and the shops brought forward some additional information. We also learned more, I think, about their drive-through operation and how they manage that.
Okay.
Not only from them providing kind of some video information and then just in the form of letters, types of information documenting that, but also having people observe kind of their operations down in Chicago. So I think there was some new information learned. We were overwhelmed with the
You
community.
heard from some people?
We heard from some people on this one.
Yeah.
I think the council's email boxes overflowed with this one, and it got picked up by a lot of local media. KFAN picked up this story. I think the Business Journal, of course, you guys,
Sure.
local media here. Star Tribune, Lee Schaefer wrote an article, and a lot of their focus was just on Portillo's is a great operator. Why wouldn't you want them in Maple Grove?
Sure.
And I think everybody truly believes that Portillo's is a great operator. I think the concern was really about, how is this going to work on that site? And I think everybody had an appreciation for them as an operator, as well as why the shops would want to do this. And I think it's reflective of, as you and I have visited before, is the change in retail and what's happening. And, as a city, how do we be supportive and flexible to help those retail centers as they evolve and change? So lots of new information came forward, lots of community feedback over those 2 weeks. The Portillo's folks came to town on Monday night, and we had an hour-long discussion at the council.
Yes.
At the council, and the end of the story was we denied the denial resolution on a 4-1 vote, and then we directed the city attorney to prepare a resolution of approval, and that was on a 4-1 vote. And so that resolution of approval will come forward at May 1. So at this point, the project's moving forward in an approval phase.
Okay.
I think that the things that we were committed to, and Portillo's is committed to, is making sure that drive-through works. They talked extensively about their training and the staff that they utilize to make that work on their sites. We talked about having kind of a 1-month check-in, a 3-month check-in, and a 6-month check-in, just to say, how's it working? Are we experiencing problems? If they need to get, officers out there to help direct traffic in the early days, we're committed to working with them on that, and they're committed to that as well. So I think that they are a great operator, and they'll be a great asset to the community. I think we're just going to have to keep our eye on how things are operating and be committed to making tweaks as we need to as we go forward. So come back one more time on May 1st, but looks like it's heading in the direction of being done. So being a done deal.
You mentioned the response, and obviously at the council meeting there were quite a few people there that did get up from the public to speak about it.
Yes.
And it sounded like the response even went broader than just Maple Grove. Fans in the Twin Cities were saying things in media about it. Do you remember other instances, either in Wayzata, where you were before, or here, where something has brought this much interest, or does it surprise you that a restaurant brings that much interest?
I think everybody was a bit surprised, and partly because, it's new to the Minnesota market. Their first store is Woodbury, Maple Grove's the second. Clearly, people who've been there in Chicago, who grew up in Chicago, or have that experience of being in Chicago, they all have sort of this very sentimental, relationship with Portillo's. And they, I even know, our police chief gets their beef shipped in. He's from Chicago. He gets it shipped in for the holidays. And some of the people who got up to testify talked about that as well. So they certainly have a reputation for quality, and they have a reputation for being, having consistent quality service and consistent quality food. And so, I think that lends to it. I don't know if I can think of another one where there's been that much public outcry. This one surely captured the attention of many. So
sets the new bar.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the shops a few times, that the shops was involved in this discussion. So they were at the table as well, and on a bigger picture than just a restaurant, new restaurant coming to Maple Grove and a new eating option. It talks about the center. Tell us a little bit more of the shops input and the shops talk between meeting 1 and meeting 2, where they really tried to help let people know that this is important to their center.
Yep. So this was actually the shops, they were the applicant.
Right.
They brought Portillo's. So, you know, it was, I think the challenge with that is that, you know, they had done a lot of the pre-work in terms of how's this going to work in our center? How are our tenants going to feel? And some of the tenants did raise concerns as part of the Planning Commission.
Sure.
And I think they went back around with Portillo's, and it was the Punch Pizza owners, and said, okay, how do we work this out? You know, this theoretically, you know, bringing more people to center helps everyone.
Right.
And so I think the shops, you know, it was their application. They brought Portillo's to the table, and then they helped facilitate some of those discussions within the mall itself. So I think they are, you know, I think the jury's still out on what's the end of the story with retail, and I think that a lot of retail centers are trying to do things to bring more foot traffic to the mall,
Right.
and to give people more reasons to come there. And you know, everybody has different opinions about, well, is that going to, you know, be good for the mall? Is that going to bring foot traffic? All those kinds of things. And I don't know that it's one thing, you know, that's going to make
Sure.
a difference. I
Right.
think this is, we'll see other things, I think, as well as we go forward here about, you know, are there changes in uses in some of that space in the mall? Does one end of the mall shift to something else? I just read an article in this business journal about Lifetime Fitness is going into retail centers where they have big open anchor spaces that
Sure.
are vacant, and they're going in there and creating kind of a lifestyle space, or this fitness space that's about health and wellness, and you know, they're in this space that used to be occupied by retail. So you know, I don't know that there's one answer. I think it's a
Right.
number of things that we'll have to be open to looking at over the next years ahead. But you know, all of these are difficult decisions, because there is, you know, it was cited in the discussion that a lot of our residents in our community survey talked about traffic and congestion is one of their biggest frustrations.
Right.
And I think it's hard in an area where you have a big presence of retail. You're going to have traffic to contend with. There are ways we can do it better, you know.
Right.
So flashing yellow arrows, you know, what are the entry points? How are we, you know, navigating and directing traffic? So I think those are the things we're going to have to really pay attention to in the coming years, as these places maybe shift their uses a bit. But all in all, I think this project's moving in the right direction, and we'll stay on it as it moves forward into the construction phase.
Some great conversation about it, and
Yep.
some construction coming up on that. So we'll keep you up to date as the process moves ahead, and who knows when it will be in that line will form. It kind of brings back memories of Krispy Kreme when that came. And
Yes.
I can imagine there might be a few officers directing traffic
Yeah.
at least the first couple days to help people through that
There's,
area.
I think there's a term in the City Hall of the Krispy Kreme effect.
Yes, that's right.
Of what happens when something that's super popular, you know, comes to town, and everybody wants to go there right away. We think that will happen here.
Sure.
Portillo's is used to that happening, and so we'll have to be very much working with them to make sure that that goes as best as it can.
All right, we will keep you informed on that. Moving on the council meeting from the 17th, there were some staff updates that were given, and one of the items relates to the comp plan,
Yep.
and the open houses are coming up. So again, in general, for people, what is the comp plan, and why should they pay attention to come to these meetings?
Yeah, so our comprehensive plan, it kind of starts with our land use and what guides our land use and development, and it's really taken in kind of 10-year increments. Our projections are out to 2040, but we update our comp plan every 10 years, so we're kind of looking, you know, we're looking out to the future, but we're setting that stage for the next 10 years. So we have been in the process of we have a comprehensive plan committee. There's a couple members of council, planning commission representatives, and staff on that. And we've done some preliminary work on the land use. And you and I have talked in the past about,
Right.
you know, we're shifting away from retail and more to that kind of office and industry, growth of jobs, and then housing to fit in behind that.
Right.
So you'll see if you come to one of the open houses, or information will be available on our website as well.
Good.
To kind of see how that land use is shifting. And then behind the land use, we have to kind of define the transportation corridors, all the kind of the water issues, infrastructure issues associated with that, as well as kind of our parks and recreation plan. plan behind that. These open houses are really focused on the land use components.
Okay.
And we have the main roads kind of laid out in there, but it's an opportunity for you to provide feedback about that, about those shifts. Wednesday, April 26th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. or Tuesday, May 9th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Same information, 2 opportunities. So just want to catch people if they weren't available for one of them, they can come to the other night. And it'll be kind of right in the gallery space at the Government Center, and staff will be on hand to answer any questions, and we'll ask for some feedback. We'll have some comment cards, that kind of a thing. Once we kind of get this preliminary feedback, we'll take that and kind of reshape things if we need to a little bit. And then from there, the transportation infrastructure and the parks and recreation plans will flow.
Very much open house style. So again, you can come during that time period, drop in, make your comments, look at some things, ask some questions, and then they will take that information further. A couple other items from Ken Ashfield and the Public Works and City Engineering area. Yardway site, good news for people that have been out in their lawns. They now have a place to drop it off.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to have a beautiful weekend coming up here, so I'm sure everybody will be busy about that out in their yards. So it is open. Hours are Monday through Saturday, 8 to 7 p.m., Sundays from 11 to 7 p.m. Make sure you bring your driver's license with you to prove that you're a Maple Grove resident, because it is free if you are a Maple Grove resident. And that's free for grass, leaves, straw, wood chips, sod, plant material, sand, rocks under 2 inches, and brush up to 10 inches in diameter. So you can also go to the website. It's mgyardwaste.com, and there's more information there about what they accept.
All right.
Should be a busy weekend up there.
Great amenity in town. Couple other items from Ken related to roads. Number one, we have a signal that was talked about at Elm Creek Boulevard and 80th that I understand has been acting up a little bit, and the city is aware of it.
We are aware of it.
Doing some work on it. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it ended up being kind of an electrical issue, so the county has been working with Excel Energy on this one, and they're gonna have to replace some of the infrastructure in the ground there. That's targeted for next week. They've been having some outages, and so that's an inconvenience certainly to the traveling public, and so we're aware of that, and Hennepin County's monitoring that. So if you come across that and it doesn't appear that anybody's there to manage it, you certainly can give a call to 911 and they'll trigger that up to get Hennepin County, but I think they're monitoring it on an ongoing basis as well.
Okay. Very good. Other item was the East Fish Lake Road Bridge. It was a bridge that was worked on during the 494 project, and for some reason it didn't look like a new bridge here recently. What is happening on that bridge?
Yeah, so this is a MnDOT project as part of the 494 piece, and you know, we had some issues when they poured kind of that bridge deck work that with the grade up there and whatnot, but ended up they kind of put an asphalt skim at the entry points, and that is now all kind of spalling away. And so it doesn't look like a new bridge, and so we want it to look like a new bridge in our community, and so we've given that feedback to MnDOT and are working with the contractor to see how that's going to get repaired.
Very good. Item that we talked about a few meetings ago was the Board of Appeal, and that did occur, the first meeting of the Board of Appeal, and there was a rather strong turnout. Give us a little bit about how many came and what the flavor of the night was.
Yeah, so we met, it was April 11th in the evening. I think we were there for almost 2.5 hours. I think we had a full house. And we had a couple of pockets of properties that were affected, and so we had a number of people from the same area. So one example, Weaver Lake, the lake shore owners. I think there were some properties there that all experienced a more significant property tax valuation increase. And then there's a couple townhome projects, older townhome projects that had gone down during the recession and now are coming back, and they're experiencing some of that. So a lot of kind of neighborhood groups that were there, all representing kind of the similar story. So the council took that feedback, and now our staff has been working on, contacting those residents, re-looking at the valuations, and they're going to formulate some recommendations. So we'll come back to reconvene as the Board of Appeal on Tuesday, April 25th. And so sometimes the council staff will make recommendations and resolve that with the residents. Sometimes they come forward to the council in order for them to make a recommendation. And then oftentimes what this does is it preserves the property owner's right to go forward to the county process. So this is just kind of another step in the process. So we'll be back at it next Tuesday.
All right, we'll
Yep.
give you one more update on that.
Yep.
A couple other items that occurred during the council meeting night, a few separate discussions. One was the HRA, kind of in the middle or towards the end of the council meeting, and they talked about affordable housing. Give us
Yep.
a little update on this. Is somewhat of a standard process, correct?
Yeah, so the city has a history of participating with the Hennepin County HRA in the West Hennepin Affordable Housing Land Trust. And so they will do a project here, and basically what they will do is the land trust holds the physical land, the real estate, and then the house is sold, but the value of that land is captured in that land trust, and it kind of has
Okay.
like a 99-year lease associated with it. So it brings the cost of that housing
Right.
down to a more affordable level that somebody can come in and buy that house. The land is held by the trust, and then it stays in that affordable condition in perpetuity. So this is something that the city has done in the past. We don't have a property identified at this time, but this is something we'll work with Hennepin County on as the project moves forward.
Okay. And final item was finance director. We've talked about this a
Yeah.
few times, and the interviewing process continues. Where
Yeah.
are we now?
Yeah, so we, prior to the regular meeting on April 17th, we interviewed a candidate. We did an internal recruitment, interviewed one candidate that evening, and that recommendation to hire will come forward on the May 1st agenda. So we're looking forward to getting that done. We hope Jim's having fun in his retirement. I suspect
sure
he
he
is.
is.
He's probably on the golf course right now.
Good for him.
Good for him. But yeah, we're looking forward to move forward with this one.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's it for the council meeting from the 17th. Let's move ahead to some other items happening around town that you might want to be aware of. Number one is ice skating, just for the fact that they recently had their show, the Ice Skating School, and this is a big group and kind of a nice feather in the cap of Maple Grove.
It is. They do a great job with this show, just from the preparation of all the skaters to the sets, and they always get the families involved as well. And Chuck Stifter was there to be sort of the community representative and walked out and waved to the crowd.
Very good.
I had an opportunity to go last year. I didn't make it to the show this year, but they do a nice job, and lots of really talented skaters in the skating school.
Hats off to the skaters in
Yep.
town. Severe weather. It is that time of the year to
Yes.
start thinking about that again, and you're going to hear some extra sirens go off to
Yeah.
remind us of that. Tell us how Maple Grove prepares for this and why this is so important.
Yeah, so actually it's tomorrow, Thursday, April 20th. So depending on when you're watching this,
Right.
there's 2 statewide tornado drills at 1:45 and 6:45. During that time, the 20 Maple Grove sirens will sound. And just as a reminder, the sirens are really intended to warn people if they're outside. They aren't intended to, alert you when you're in your home. Oftentimes you will hear them if you're in your home.
Sure.
But it's really to warn people who are outside and who may be away from either radio or TV or some other form of communication.
Okay.
So the drills allow everyone to kind of practice for how they would, where would you go if there was a tornado? What would we do as a family? Where would we go in our home, or whether we're at school or work? So preparedness is practice, and getting used to knowing what that sound is and what we should do when it happens.
And plenty of information available on various websites about severe weather in
Yep.
the state of Minnesota, so you might want to take a look at that. Cleanup events coming
Yep.
up in the city. It is that April-May time frame when we want to get out and clean things up, and you have a couple dates where residents
do.
can get some help from the city. How do those work?
Yeah, so Monday, April 24th is the curbside pickup at residents' homes. So this is coming up here quickly again. You have to register in advance for that
Okay.
service to be provided. They take appliances, air conditioners, and tires. And then Saturday, April 29th is the day to drop off items at Public Works from 8 to noon. Appliances, air conditioners, propane tanks, tires, scrap metal. And so if there's a more complete list on the city's website and all the information and how you can sign up. So we encourage you to go check that out if you're interested in taking advantage of that.
Great, and you'll also find some of the fee schedules there
Yep.
too. So the different
Yep.
fees for some of the different size of objects that you might be turning in at that point. The Step to It Challenge, great way to stay fit during the springtime here. It happens during the month of May.
Yep.
How is the city of Maple Grove promoting this, and
Yeah.
how much exercising are you going to be doing? You'll be out and about, right?
I will be, always, yes. So we have, it's a friendly competition among the 24 communities in Hennepin County to track your steps and activity May 1 through the 28th. And then they invite your family and friends to join in. Chance to win prizes, including Twins baseball tickets, and you go on to register, and then you kind of log what you're doing. Steptoit.org, and that provides some program specifics. But lots of opportunities here to get out on the trails and the parks here in Maple Grove and participate in this. And I'll commit to getting out for a couple walks too.
There we go.
Yes.
Well, it's all sorts of things too. It's like lawn mowing or gardening or things like that. So we all qualify in doing some of those things outside just to be healthy. So some great information on the Step To It site. Mayor's Prayer Breakfast is coming up. We've previewed this a few times. Again, we've got a great speaker that has big ties to the area.
Yeah, so the morning of Thursday 11th at 7:15 a.m. and this is at Rush Creek Golf Club. This year our speaker is Richard Barr. He's the president and CEO of MGS Machine. He also has a really significant background in the nonprofit world and in the faith community, and so we're really looking forward to hearing his message that morning. Registration is required by April 27th, so that's coming up here quickly as well, and you can contact City Hall for that registration. Again, Thursday, May 11th and 7:15. I think usually we're out of there by, I bet 9 o'clock, before 9 o'clock or so.
Gets people back to work or back to their organizations.
Yep,
sure.
So very nice morning in Maple Grove.
Arbor Day activities, that comes up Saturday, April 29th. The events in the city of Maple Grove. Tell us when and where we should be.
Yeah, so the Arbor Day committee at the city gets involved with planning of this event Saturday, April 29th between noon and 3 p.m. at the community center. Lots of fun and educational activities for all ages. I think usually they have kind of the Raptor Center and all those kinds of things over there. Fun tips about gardening and always a lot of information about Emerald Ash Borer. So that's another thing that now that it's here, I think the issue is more present and more real than it has been. Number of giveaways and that kind of thing. So bring your kids, kind of a fun outing at the community center that day.
Very good. You mentioned the community center a few times. That's the place to be in Maple Grove for lots of fun. And to help you get there a little more efficiently and maybe affordably, they have some membership sales.
Yes.
When does that happen?
So May 1 through 10, we have a sale for 15% off for residents for the community center membership. And that includes all building, pool, pickleball, and then if you register online, you can get an additional $10 discount.
Nice.
So just go onto the maplegrovemn.gov website and connect to the community center through there.
All right.
Yep.
Open to business. We've mentioned this many times. The next date is coming up on May 9th. And again, still busy at the office?
Yeah, I think so. As I've heard, it's been continuing to have a full calendar. So this is the program that provides free one-on-one business counseling to either current or prospective entrepreneurs. So whether you own a business in Maple Grove or you live in Maple Grove, you're eligible to sign up and come meet with the counselors there. They are there the second Tuesday of every month from 10 to 1 p.m. Information on our website. They do want to know if you're coming, if possible, so they can prepare for you and make an appointment for you for the time. But the next opportunity is Tuesday, May 9th.
Very good. We're going to give you one more reason to visit the website as well. It's for the Fire Home Safety Survey, and this is an opportunity for you to have someone from the fire staff come out to your home. Tell us how this works.
Yeah, so this is the Fire Home Safety Survey includes a walkthrough of your home to determine any potential fire, scalding, trip and fall, electrical or other common household hazards. It checks the expiration date on your smoke alarms and your carbon monoxide detectors, and then install the stovetop fire stop device that goes right in your stovetop, and if there's a fire on the stovetop, it'll go off and put the fire out. So that's a good thing. There are income guidelines and property ownership requirements for residents for this one. So if you want to give a call up to City Hall, Marilyn Arnland can help you with that. 494-6091 is her direct dial.
All right, about to the end here, but we have 30 seconds to say this: distracted driving. You've got some officers that are paying a little extra special attention, so people should be aware.
They should be aware. So this is, the state is doing kind of a extra enforcement around the distracted driving issue, and our officers have been out participating in that as well, and I know their comment has been, it's everywhere, and they, sitting like at Elm Creek and Weaver Lake Boulevard, they could just pick up one after another.
Right.
So I think, people's phones have become so prevalent in our lives that it just feels, it feels like it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And so just a heads up, they're out looking, and as you think about it, really think about putting that phone away when you're out there on the road.
Good advice.
Yep.
That's it for today's program. Let's leave you with the next council meeting date. It will be May 1st. Website you see on the top of the screen. A lot of information available there. 494-6000 is the phone number to call. And 763-533-1710, our viewer response line for questions or comments on the program. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us.